So, Charlamagne the guy that came into 2025 and seemed like he wants some smoke, you feel me? He want to crash something. Middle of last year, him and Elliot Wilson's beef was sparking up and everything, and got to a wild point where Elliot saying, fuck you. We've been covering that, but just as of recently, Elliot had a little back and forth with Cameron and Mace over at the It Is What It Is podcast, and it plays into the reason why Charlamagne has been disrespecting Elliot, because he's not aging gracefully in this game as far as an OG media personality or hip-hop journalist, you feel me? So Charlamagne had this to say in response to Elliot Wilson hating on the It Is What It Is podcast. We about to watch this all together for the first time.
And the thing I love about life, right, is when you love certain people or you grew up being influenced by certain people, and then you're able to
build with them
and create platforms to not just put money in their pockets, but to help them further tell their stories.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of talent isn't realizing nowadays. At some point, man, especially the older you get, you can't call yourself an OG in the game if what you are building only benefits you. I tell y'all that all the time, man. If what you build only benefits you, it's not big enough. So when you're able to go back and say, man, this person influenced me so much, now I got this book imprint, or I got this podcast network, or I got this production company, and I'm able to say, yo, why don't you do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
And that person is like, yeah, I would love to do X, Y, and Z. And then you're able to make X, Y, and Z happen. Different ball game. Then you're not sitting around just, hating on, people for what they're building.
Yeah.
Like Elliot Wilson does all the time. He can't help himself. He's just.
Why? What's up with Elliot?
But he hated on Cameron and Mace for what they building with It Is What It Is talk. It was just disgusting.
Cameron's running like he's Stephen A. Smith.
That's what people be mad at you about when you say shit like that. Which I think he should lean into. Be the old villain.
OD, that was hate.
Why is this for a journalist? Because he has an opinion? Why? This is the shit I do well, and not everybody want to do it. I don't like that shit, and I'd be a hater.
You don't like it because you don't think they're good at it?
I know I'm better at it. Okay. It's me. It's my life.
Who are you to say I'm better at this than them?
They're not better. It's like that shit cringeworthy. I watch that shit. It's not good.
Yo.
Shit ain't popping. It ain't popping.
I don't agree.
What's the Cameron interview? He was like, yo, Cameron really asked the question. What are you talking about? No.
Maul and I aren't journalists. We're still in hip-hop media. You are a hip-hop journalist. What interview did Cam take away from us?
Celebrity has access to different things that I may not have. And again, I do feel like they underperform.
We made podcasting popping. Then Rap Radar podcast came, and you took God knows how many interviews from us.
Good point.
But that's his character now, right? Like, isn't that like his...
Yeah, but the grumpy old man, that's the character you want to have nowadays?
But it don't work. It don't work if you come off as bitter.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to explain to people last year. Like, you just randomly hating on Kai Cenat. And then you apologize. And you randomly hating on Cameron and Mace, and you apologize. And I know Elliot is so happy that Cameron and Mace weren't on this week, because they've been on his head on social media. But they was like, when we come back, we cooking you. And, he went to the Need to Know podcast. Salute to the Need to Know podcast. Love what they doing over there. Went to the Need to Know podcast explaining it himself. What'd you say earlier? If you explaining, you losing?
If you explain, you're losing.
Exactly. And that's what he went over to the Need to Know podcast to do. Explain himself. You don't got to explain being a hater. Stand on your shit. And I've told him this before.
Yeah.
Stop popping shit and then apologizing. If you're going to play this right, I've told him.
If you want to be the heel of hip-hop journalism,
be it.
You got to be it 100% through and through.
My OG told me, my old girl, my mom told me, don't apologize for something you really meant and what you felt. As far as a statement and perspective, don't apologize for it. Stand on it. Always stand on it. You can grow. But in that point, don't feel sorry for how you arrived to your opinion at the point in time. Stand on it. But you can grow from it over time, though.
You didn't say now he apologizing?
Yeah.
Now, listen, I've apologized when I feel like I've gone too far for certain things, but I'm not apologizing about my opinion about your music, my opinion about your show. I apologize if I said some wild shit that might have been too personal, or if I said something that, really might have hurt your feelings.
There's also nothing wrong with apologizing, but like if you're, it seems to me that you're saying that he's playing a character.
He's playing a character that he's not even built to play, and I've told him this before. Elliot, I've told you this before. Have I not told you this before? You're playing a character you're not even built to play.
And if you do play, I guess, this character doesn't apologize. If you are the heel journalist, Think about what a heel would do in wrestling. Think about what a heel would do in boxing.
Yes.
Like, you say fucked up shit at the press conference, then you go, oh, I'm sorry. No. You got to stay with it through and through. I guess that's what you're saying.
And also stop running to other people's podcasts to express these opinions. You have the bigger picture, and I'm gonna give you this advice because I don't talk to you. I don't fuck with the guy, right? I really don't. But you got the bigger picture. You should be having these conversations on the bigger picture. And more importantly, I just don't understand why you would just discard a great property like Rap Radar. Schultz, you know how hard it is to create IP nowadays?
Yeah. So
you got the IP Rap Radar. Even if you don't get the guests, how about just put your opinions up there?
Yeah.
I saw the guys from Backfield, Esso and Heineken. I saw them last week. I thought what y'all did was great. I mean, I see a lot of people do this, but I thought what they did was great. They do a lot of interviews with folks, right?
Okay.
But last week, they were just Esso and Heineken answering questions.
Chopping it up.
Yeah. Answering questions, talking about things, giving their opinions on things.
Yeah.
You could be doing that with B. Elliot. You and B.
That makes I don't get why he stopped Rap Radar. It has a name. Like, we know it. These new things that he's creating, I don't know why. Maybe it's something business-wise that's going on to make him stop doing it. I don't know.
That could be sitting around Rap Radar just having these conversations about hip-hop and hip-hop
Why do you think
culture.
that's not happening?
Because he's an idiot.
Oh.
Shout
Shout out B-Dot, man. I think he's
my guy
fantastic.
B-Dot.
Yeah.
Salute to B-Dot, man. Salute to B-Dot. That's my dude. Talk to B-Dot damn near every day. And, I just think it's just bad business. If somebody put a battery in his back and told him he should brand himself more. I think it was Button. I think Joe said, I think it was Joe. I think Joe was on the Rap Radar podcast, and I think he said that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that don't mean discard your IP.
Yeah, you can still brand yourself while also
having Rap Radar.
Yeah, and you could use
your
branding yourself to continue to push the other things you have. Yeah.
I do it every day.
Yeah.
It's
you
called
did
The
it with
Breakfast
this
Club.
podcast. You did it with
Brilliant Idiots every week.
Everything. Yeah.
I'm not ever stopping doing Brilliant Idiots at Breakfast Club.
But like
my thing, okay, brand yourself more. Yeah, that's the thing. But so many people that don't have great personalities, bubbly, funny personalities, they choose to then be the hater, and that becomes their brand, to just hate on things and just be mean, I guess, be a mean person on social media to get attention. And they confuse that attention with actually, I don't know what they're making confused with, because I know they see the negative response, but since it may get them the views and attention, whatever, they don't mind continuing to do it. But I don't know if he's built for that. But I think that's what's going on. He's thinking, okay, how can I go ahead and get the attention and build my personality, I can't think of the terminology he just used, but since he can't do that the charismatic way, he's choosing to do it the crash out way, if you want to say. I know people tired of the term crash out being used so much, but yeah, he wants to be a hater, and I don't know if that's cool, but a lot of people online, that's what they do.
Use the star power that you built up and the currency with people immediately with this. I mean, like, you took all of that and you brought over. I didn't bring anything to the pot. I mean, I brought I had talent. Okay, fair enough. But like, I was on maybe Guy Code, but I didn't have. Like, you had people that listened to you every single morning and they wanted to continue listening to you. And this is a listening platform that we then created a visual platform with. But like, so you transferred that. That's awesome. But you didn't leave Breakfast Club after you did it.
No, absolutely not. But you also have talent.
Of course.
Like, you're a talented motherfucker.
I'm not undermining my contribution. I guess what I'm saying is that I didn't also bring in all the ears immediately. I had some people listening for me for sure in the beginning. And I hope that throughout my career, I've had more people that have wanted to continue listening or that. But initially, that currency that you invested in it.
And by the way, I didn't think nobody was going to listen to this shit. I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's just a rolling the dice. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know if people want to hear me outside of fucking the radio.
But it was better. The first time I ever heard these two, this podcast, I'm pretty sure over 10 years ago, they was having an argument with Combat Jack. Rest in peace. Yeah, they was having an argument with Combat Jack, and it was about some race shit. It was about some race shit. Oh man, and Andrew Schultz was being an asshole.
Things that we all have. Isn't it crazy? Like, everybody has a little of that, like almost like imposter syndrome, I guess.
A lot of it. Yeah, I don't have it no more though. Fuck y'all, suck my dick. I used to a lot. I used to have that shit bad until Bishop T.D. Jakes told me, he was like, look, even if you don't think you're worthy, just know God knows you're worthy. That's why you're in the position you in.
Okay, so we're gonna stop that clip right there to announce that Elliott Wilson will be appearing on the It Is What It Is podcast with Cameron and Mace. You know, just this them. Cam posting it right here since tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Elliott Wilson joins the show. Okay, some clips have started to release of Elliott on the show. Let's check out this real quick.
How do you feel about Elliott's statement? Because I mean, the argument can be you're not running around like Stephen A. Smith, you're running around like Cam, because that's who you are. So how do you feel about that? And then how do you feel about artists, athletes, and entertainers turning into media?
Right. First, when I'm looking at Elliott now, it's like, I didn't know your face looked like pepper jack turkey. Like, that's what you look, the texture of your skin looks like pepper jack turkey. Like, you look like you sweat duck sauce. You look like a sloppy sandwich in the face. Pause, man.
So he just started off like that to go ahead and establish dominance. He's definitely one of them niggas that you come into the friend group, you got to get your ass ranked or roasted if you come around his friends. Like, automatically, that's how you initiate into the friend group.
My bad. I didn't know. I never really looked at you like that. But as far as what Elliott said, I'm running around. I'm not trying to be anybody but myself. As far as comparing me to Stephen A. Smith, I take that as a compliment because he's kind of the standard. He's in negotiations for doing $100 million deal over a certain amount of years of time. And certain amount of years, you know, there's $100 million per year. But he's basically the standard when it comes to getting money in this field. And not only being the standard, he's a black man from New York, like I am. So I'm never trying to be anybody else, but if you're gonna compare me to somebody who's at the top of the game in this thing that we're doing, and I've only been doing this since, it's going on, it's gonna be 2 years in March this year coming up. So if you're comparing me to that, it isn't like he said a podcaster or somebody else. So I didn't get to it. When I heard it, to be honest with you, I really wasn't too upset about it. I was more like, where'd that come from? But I mean, over the years, I've known Elliott. We haven't really talked a lot and so on and so forth. And I seen like a few things from his interview stat. He's like his relationship with Jay-Z and all this. And I didn't know, to be honest with you, I didn't really know you had a great relationship with Jay-Z. I didn't know. I didn't pay attention to it that much because from what I remember is with Elliott is that he ran XXL when I was coming up. And if you get the cover, you get the cover. If you don't, you got to move on to the next thing. So I never put too much faith into one magazine because there's different outlets prior to the internet as well. Magazine covers were definitely an important, and XXL's Vanessa too, shout out to Vanessa, they supported me a lot through my career. So I have nothing bad to say about that at all. But as far as comparing me to Stephen A. Smith, to be honest with you, I wasn't offended, I was more just confused, like, where's this going? As far as athletes and entertainers becoming podcasters or analysts or anything of that nature, with me, it's more about looking at the climate. It isn't about necessarily being a journalist, because Elliott made a great point with his opening statement. People may want to be more famous than doing the due diligence or homework or something that a topic is. But me, you have to look where the climate is going. And when I heard his interview, to be honest with you, I said to myself, this sounds like the guy who used to own Blockbuster. And he's mad he can't sell VHS tapes.
Because of streaming.
Or a guy who owns a livery cab service and he's mad that everybody's Ubering. That's the vibe that pushed off. And instead of figuring out the climate and what to do to get money in the climate, it sounded like more of a complaining situation, to where a person like me, I would sit there and say, well, why is and I'm not mocking you, I'm being serious. Why is everybody streaming? And I don't get streaming. Why we can't sell physical tapes or physical CDs or vinyl? I just don't. How are they monetizing it? What's the BDS or what's the sound scan? And instead of doing that, I figure ways out to see which way the climate is moving, whichever field I'm in, music, movies, entertainment, regardless, whatever it is. and try to be the best at what direction the climate is going in. But I wasn't offended when he said it.
Okay. So Elliot just felt.
If he wasn't offended, if he truly wasn't offended, then he understands content and realized that you have to take advantage of the opportunity when someone throws some type of conflict out there. You got to figure out how you're going to dunk that shit. And he chose to roast Elliot. We covered it before. That's how he chose to go about it. So he may have truly not been offended because, you know, in this lifetime, it be some real shit that really make you upset in this life. Sometimes some things are just not worth your energy. But for work-wise, for this job, you got to go ahead and put on a show for the fans. And that's probably what people seen so far. And that's why he's able to get Elliot on the podcast, on the show, because it ain't really that much bad blood. And it leads to a even bigger piece of content that carries on from the original story that fans could engage with, because initially they seen conflict.
Follow-up question for you based off of what Cam said. So what is your relationship with Jay-Z? And then how do you feel about Cam's statement towards you? And then basically just the way that journalism and media is going right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend, producer Trav, that works with me and stuff. He says, you don't complain, you adjust, right? So to Cam's point, he's right. It's like, again, I was caught in a vulnerable moment where I kind of expressed my frustration, but that's not how I really feel ultimately. Like, I feel like I have such a passion to document hip hop culture. I'm going to continue to grow and pivot and adapt to these things and not look at it as a negative, right? And, you know, I have my own debate show I got coming out, The Bigger Picture, with Jeremy Heck and DJ Head, that I do every Saturday. I'm starting my own new one-on-one interview series called Elliot Wilson Experience. Show my interviews. I feel like I do some of the best hip hop interviews out there. I did a great interview with Cameron, you know, in 2019 with B-Dot for the Rap Radar podcast. This show is called Elliot Wilson Experience. I'm interviewing artists like Snoop Dogg, Wale, Absol, Leon Thomas. So I just have to reinvent myself. I can't complain that, all these people are out here with outlets and they're making noise. I got to continue to push it. This is what I want to do, document hip hop culture and grow. I got to adapt to these things. So I thought it was a really teachable moment. And like, you know, I appreciate, I didn't do any of this to like stir some sort of viral moment or get on your program. Like, it was just a natural moment of frustration I expressed. But like to Cam's point, you know, you can't just complain about that. You don't want to be the old person at the park talking about you don't get no play anymore. You have to adapt to these times. And I'm determined to do that.
Got it. Okay. Next topic, kind of similar. So you said you feel like you're the best, right? What do you think? I don't know why that's funny, but what do you think separates you from others? And then do you feel like traditional journalism right now is dying? I'm going to let you go first, and then I'll let Cam give his take.
Yeah, I just feel like I have such a passion to document hip hop culture. I was never an artist myself, so I was always somebody, you know, and when it wasn't cool back then, that you try to get a job as music editor at The Source, and then I ran Double XL, like Cam said. And you make these decisions and you build these things, and it's just like, then it's like I had a whole 20-year career where no one knew what I looked like. It wasn't about being famous or known. Then I started to do on-camera stuff. And I think, you know, one of the things people look at me is that I do a lot of great interviews, you know, and I think that's something I pride myself for. And now we're in a climate where a lot of artists, the big artists, don't feel like they have to do interviews. So that gets very frustrating, right? Because the biggest artists, you can't get them to do interviews anymore. So I have to adapt to that. And maybe I have to.
All right, so that's the longest the clip goes. So yeah, you know, you gotta adapt to it. And I'm glad that he's publicly saying these things, you know. In this game, bro, you gotta assume nobody knows who the hell you are. Like in my videos, dog, I don't even say my name because I know people don't give a damn who I am. They care about the content that I give them and the entertainment and the process of giving them content and information and things of that sort. If I did a good job to hold them towards the end of the video, then they'll hear my name, and that's when I begin to be known in their eyes, you feel me? I don't feel entitled. No matter how many subscribers I got or how many views I got on the last video, the next video I can get 50 views, I can get 100 views. Every single time I post, I gotta go hard. You know, I gotta assume that no one knows me, no one cares what I have to say until I make them. I'm not more entitled than the next creator for views or any real estate or any opinion in this game, you feel me? So you gotta keep that mindset of steadily becoming. Like I told y'all the last time I covered this shit. Always focus on becoming and not focus on who you were, you know? But shout out to Elliot for understanding that perspective. Let me know what you gotta say about what Charlamagne had to say and Elliot's appearance on this. If you want to see more of it, go ahead and head over to check out Talk with Flea on Cameron's platform over there, man. But let me know what you gotta say in the comment section below. I'm going to get up out of here though. This is another update with Stace. Yo.